Hello everyone and welcome to a minivan with mega offering and 900 kilometers of range, which is this 2025 Kia Carnival Hybrid. So the new Kia Carnival is offered in 9 different trims ranging from LX, LX Plus, EX, EX Plus, SX, SX Plus and SX Plus Hybrid, and even the EX and the LX variants are offered in the hybrid variant, whereas the non-hybrid variants come with 3.5 liter V6 engine, and the hybrid variants they come with 1.6 liter turbocharged engine along with an electric motor that produces 72 horsepower. So those are the figures and the numbers, and the particular variant that I'm reviewing is the Carnival SX Plus Hybrid, which is the top of the line variant. And beginning with the looks, it's a fairly broad car. Obviously it's a minivan and there is lots of space as a result of that on the inside, and it comes in this red color with the black color Kia badging on the top, and then this grille. Again, the design is very similar to the Telluride, which is from the Kia's lineup, and aligned with that design language. Also there are chrome bits on this grille along with the opening for the radiator. At the bottom, more opening in normal plastic, and then gray color plastics even on the grille and at the bottom too. And then these fog lights that are mounted on the bottom side of this grille on the edge, and they seem like a bit of an afterthought because they just don't seem to be fitting there. But anyways, these are the LED fog lights, and then there are these headlights and the DRLs that are on the top. So the DRLs are the amber color DRLs, and those same DRLs also convert into the turn signals, and they are the LED DRLs, whereas the main headlight cluster is in this vertical fashion. Again, that's also fully LED headlight cluster. There's also one camera provided in the front and also out here, but this is for the 360-degree cameras, and the one on the glass, in the front glass, that's been provided for the active and the passive safety systems. Now there is also one more really cool feature, and that is if you park this car somewhere in a tighter space, let's say, and you cannot open the door, then there's this very cool feature where the car can be driven further from the parking spot by pressing the buttons on the key fob. I'm not kidding, I'm going to demonstrate you that. So you press the lock button twice, and then you press the engine hold button. You would see the lights flashing, and because this is an hybrid car, so the hybrid car would not make a lot of noise. It's just running on battery power, and then we press the front button, and now the car is going to move ahead. That is so cool. That is super cool. And then the car comes ahead, you can open the door and get inside, so you never have to bother about your car getting stuck somewhere in a parking lot with tight spaces. And then you can go back too, like that, and then you see now it's switched on the engine, and then you can switch off the car again, like that. And there are lots more helpful features like this that are still available on this Kia Carnival. Now another cool feature about a minivan in general is the fact that the rear doors are the sliding ones, which is such a convenient feature, again, because if you're in a tighter parking spots, or if someone's just parked the car right next to your car, these doors make your life easier so very much. And there are so many different ways you can open the rear door on this Carnival. So the first is this door handle, then another one is like a button that's mounted out here on the inside. Then there's also a lever on the door itself that you can use to open the car, and there are also buttons mounted on the roof to open the door from the inside. And we are still not done. The key fob itself has buttons for the left and the right door to open them too. So as I said, numerous ways with which you can open the doors. So on this Carnival you would find these 19-inch black color alloy wheels, and on the base variant they come in the 17-inch ones, and I feel like the wheels are slightly on the smaller side if you look at it on the car from the side profile, but I get it because the car is so big, and it's just very difficult to fit the right size of wheels, and also to find the balance in terms of the fuel efficiency also. But nonetheless, these are the blacked out ones, and there is also the regeneration on the inside. This comes with that mechanism also. And when we come to these side mirrors, so the side mirrors are the gray color side mirrors, and glossy black at the bottom. They are power foldable, power adjustable. They also have the blind spot warning on the inside and also the turning lights on the edge and a camera from the 360-degree camera system, and then this metal roof rails on the top, really long one, so you can load a lot more stuff on the top. Then the doors, all 4 doors are the keyless entry doors. They come with the chrome bits on the top side, so it's just much more easier, and it's also got the smart keyless entry lock system also, so you can keep your keys in the pocket and walk away from the car and it would lock it and unlock it for you. And then this slot out here for the doors to slide, and then this long window in the rear for the 3rd row of passengers. And also there is skirtings provided at the bottom in normal plastic along with a grey color plastic strip. Overall the design is quite similar to the previous generation of the Carnival. It's just some more exterior changes has been provided, and all Kia Carnivals come with the front wheel drive, but on this particular variant, which is the hybrid, it is also assisted with the electric motor. Now the rear of the Carnival also goes through some design changes, mainly these lights and how they are designed and positioned. So in the previous generation it used to be like a straight single bar that went from one end to the other. Now on this 2025 there is also this vertical extension of these tail lights, and the tail lights are completely LED. The turn signals, reverse lights, brake lights are completely LED, and also this light bar is also illuminated but not in the middle above this Kia badge. And then a very simple looking back end that ways, but very tall as you can see, and then this normal plastic bumper along with grey color plastic bits in the middle, and no fake exhaust tips or anything. It's mounted behind the bumper itself. There is also a spare wheel, but that's mounted on the inside, and then you have to open the trunk floor, and then you can get access to the temporary spare wheel too. There is also a wiper, but that sits behind this spoiler, which is body color, and bottom side is glossy black. There is also the camera, which is for the visibility. So in terms of the visibility, as it is, it's pretty good. So because the rear glass is quite tall, so the visibility is not going to be an issue. But if there are lots of passengers on the inside, then there is something called as the smart rear view monitor. So you can flick the rear view and then you can get the feed from this camera, and all the cameras that have been used on this Carnival, the quality of that is just simply amazing. Even this rear view camera in the dark, it performs so well, and then you can do few changes to that, like the brightness, adjust the angle, lower it, or you can even expand. That's about it. But then yeah, you don't need a lot of more things to do apart from that. Then there's also this Kia badging, blacked out ones, Carnival badging, and also the HEV, which is the hybrid electric vehicle badge. Now there is also one more feature which is called as the blind spot view monitor. Now there are cameras 360 mounted and also on the side mirrors. So whenever you are turning, so it shows that respective side of the feed, whichever side you are turning, on your digital driver's display, so that is just much more easier to spot any cars next to you instead of moving your head around. Now when we come to the trunk space, in order to open the trunk door, you press the button given out here, and then welcome to humongous space on the inside, and that's the business end of this Carnival, which is why you will buy most likely, because you have family and stuff to put in. And there are scuff plates, plastic ones provided in the back, and a very deep storage. In fact, let me get inside and show you, because it's that deep. So when the third row of seats are folded up, you can put 1139 liters of luggage as it is on the inside. And that's not it, because the third row seats are also foldable, which I'm going to come in a bit. There are also tying points given in the back, and there's also a 12-volt power socket. There's also a plug point, 115 volt. Then there are storage on the left side where you can put much more stuff out there too. Now in order to fold the third row of seat, again, that's a very convenient feature too. So you pull this lever, pull the seats, and this slot that was there for storage, there those seats go inside, and it's a very simple process. You don't have to sweat around a lot. So when the third row seats are folded down, you can put 4110 liters of luggage, which is simply amazing. And the opening is also quite low, and there's not much step out here. In fact, it's just flat, so you can easily slide your luggage in and out from here. And the second row of seats are the captain seats, so they don't fold down, but as it is, there is just so much of luggage that you can put inside this, and the numerous different options available, because even if you plan on using the third row of seats, there is still ample of storage to put big bags inside this. And then once you're done, you can conveniently just fold this electronically foldable trunk door. So the reason you buy a minivan is because you want lots of space, then the comfort, and then you also want it to be friendly to use for day-to-day purposes. And this Carnival does exactly that. In fact, this car is so big that I cannot even reach this camera that I've mounted. It's that broad, and yeah, honestly, I wouldn't complain. I love the space on the inside. So let's begin first with the material quality. So on the dashboard, you have slightly harder, but it's still soft touch materials, and then on the top face there is like normal plastic, and it's like two-step dashboard also that you can utilize also to put stuff on it, which is quite rare these days, where the dashboards you cannot use them. Even on the door cards, there is soft touch materials where you're going to be resting hands. In the back there is beige material, leather, and that makes it softer. Around the switches, again, there is this dark beige plastic, but the quality of plastic on the top side is all right. At the bottom there is just normal plastic. Even out here there's normal plastic on the tunnel, and even on the side face of it. Then there are these screens, and then this air conditioning controls where there is glossy plastic provided, and there are also mood lights that are given in this center dashboard underneath the air conditioning vents, and also on this door cards, and even for the rear door cards too. And then you can change the mood lights from inside this infotainment screen, go into the setup, then the vehicle, and then the light option, and then you go into the ambient lights, and then the brightness adjustment and the colors options that you have. So many different, or about 64 different colors on the inside that you can choose from, or you can leave it to the drive mode, and then automatically it would change all the different color setups on this. So yes, these are the functional lights provided. They make the interior feel a lot more premium, in terms of the daily usage, especially for a minivan, because minivans are usually like a little rugged and stuff, but on this is genuinely like any other Kia cars that you would drive. Then the steering wheel is leather covered. This handrest again in dark beige color. Around this center console, that is this gear shifter, so there's no stick shift anymore, but this round gear shifting dial, which is inspired from the Genesis. So lots of bits here and there that have been inspired from different cars, and pretty easy to operate because it's shift by wire. You put it into drive, and then neutral, then reverse, or the parking. So yeah, that's quite easy, and I've figured this out fairly easily on a day-to-day drive. And ergonomically it's placed quite well because it's closer when I'm resting my hands on this handrest also. So overall the material quality is decent, and yeah, much better for a minivan is what I would say. Now when we come to the driver's display, so the driver's display and the infotainment screen are a single unit, so you get a curved display on this higher variants of the Kia Carnival. So 12.3-inch infotainment screen and 12.3-inch driver's display that's been provided, and there are dials on either side. So the left side is for the speedometer, and the right side is for the rev counter, and in the middle there is information. And you can change the theme of the driver's display by going into the infotainment screen, into the setup, and then there is the cluster head-up display option combined together, then the cluster theme selection. So you can have gate style from circle to simple, which shows you like just digital form, and then a little bit edgy graphics, and then the graphic styles can be changed from style A, style B, then to style C, which is more red, and then link to drive mode, you leave it into that. So that's how you change the theme on this driver's display, and the information in the center can be changed using the buttons that are provided on the right side and these buttons also. So you can go into different options. So the first one is the current trip, then the refueling, then the last reset, and the engine temperature, tire pressure, and the idle mode, which shows you when the power is distributed from battery and motors and the engine, all of that. Then we go next to the navigation and into the safety system. So you long press the hold button and then it shows you on the infotainment screen the changes that you can do in terms of the driver assistance, driving convenience, safety, speed limits, and all of that. And then you can individually also go at any point of time from inside this infotainment screen. But that's how you use the driver's display, which is again quite simple to operate, and like any other Hyundai's, Kias and Genesis, it's straightforward and easy to operate too. Now when we come to this steering wheel, this is a rounded steering wheel. There are paddle shifters provided in the back, but these paddle shifters are for the regeneration, to set the level for that. So in case you intend on driving one pedal, which is going to be slightly difficult because it's not exactly one pedal drive, but yes, you can select the level of generation, level 1, 2 and 3. So you can use these paddle shifters to decide that. And there are also buttons provided on either side. This Kia badging in the middle in the plastic, glossy black plastic at the bottom, and the steering wheel is manually adjustable, tilt and telescopic, and you can set it in place. And then I've just realized that some of the buttons on the steering and also some of the plastic quality around, it can be improved. Like these buttons are slightly loose, some of them, and then yeah, they have a bit of play inside them, so that can be improved in terms of its quality. So on the right side there are buttons provided for the adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist button, and also the button to change the information on the driver's display. Whereas on the left side there are buttons provided for the media control and to answer and cut the phone call. And there are also buttons provided for mode, star, and also if you go on this air conditioning panel and press the other button on the top, and then you can go into the media control options, and then there is the star button there too, and all those buttons can be customized from inside this infotainment screen. And then there is custom buttons option, mode button, the steering wheel buttons, and then the volume knob, all of that, what it can do. So different options for that, or even from inside the settings you can go at any point of time and change those buttons on the inside also. So yeah, multiple ways again with which you can change that star button option. So there is a dedicated button option also inside that settings option. So the steering wheel, again, it's pretty straightforward, and it's not a humongous steering wheel considering the size of the car. So again, that's a good thing. Now when you come to the air conditioning controls, so the air conditioning controls are sitting on this panel out here, and the good part is that the dials are given for the temperature control, but otherwise all the other buttons are the touch buttons. And this panel that's been provided is serving dual purposes, and that's a bit confusing because it's for the AC at all point of time. But if you press this button, which is like the navigation button, so you press that and then now you're controlling the media, and then the options are on the screen, and it stays for about 5 seconds and then disappears again. And then these dials become the volume dial and the track changer dial. So that's a bit layered, and I don't know why complicate things like that, because it can get a little confusing. And also I've realized that the layout and overall placement of all these buttons is slightly confusing for me, because I've had to search a few buttons here and there, like the power button, because it's not marked for the air conditioning, but yes, that dial is doing that for the air conditioning. So in order to operate that, so you get tri-zone air conditioning system on this Carnival. The 2 zones are in the front, and the third zone for the second and the third row is mounted in the second row of seats. And in order to control the air conditioning, you press this dial on the left side to switch it on, which is the auto climate control right now. So then you change the dials, and on either side provided for the temperature, and in the middle to change the fan speed, the flow of air, and then you can change the recirculation of air, auto, front, defogging and everything. And then there is also the rear air conditioning controls, and then you can control the same way the fan speed and also the temperature. So that's how you control the air conditioning from here, and it's not like split between the infotainment screen, which is a good thing. And so the front glass also comes with the heating filament, and if you look closely in the front glass, so there are these filaments very close to each other, and it's kind of at first bit strange to drive it using those, and especially at night because they reflect light, and then it makes the glass feel a bit like, you know, you have those swirl marks, something like that the view is. And there's a button that's given out here, it's for heating those filaments. So if there is snowfall and the snow has covered your front window, you can switch this on and it would melt the snow for you when you switch it on, which is again a good idea. But the thing is that if you damage this screen, or if there is stone chipping or something like that, then those filaments can't be repaired, so you will have to replace the glass completely, which might become slightly costly. Now when you come to the infotainment screen, so the infotainment screen is 12.3 inch, and it's again fairly standard across the Hyundai, Kia and the Genesis lineup also. And in terms of the operation, it's pretty decent, not too bad. It's slightly loaded and it's not that slow, and it's not heavily loaded with the graphics, which is a good thing. And on the main screen you would find these widgets, you long press them and you can even arrange them. So if you want certain features to be seen on somewhere else, some other screen, you can do that too. And then the first option is the inbuilt maps, and the maps are decent, I would say, but a bit slow and heavily loaded also. But there's Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, so you're going to be using Google Maps anyways. You can search point of interest and all of that is the same way how the navigation works. And then the media options on the inside. So in terms of the connectivity, you can connect to this infotainment screen using Bluetooth, USB, and there is wireless, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. There's also Sirius XM complimentary 3-month package provided. Then the next option is the hybrid. If you want to see the numbers, your fuel economy, electric motor use, and the charging and all of that on the screen, that's possible. Then there is the phone projections, then the voice memo, then the seats options. So the seats, when you go inside, so you can set the left and the right heated or the cooled seats for the second row, and the second row seat control is also possible from here because those are the electronic seats. And then the next option is the passenger view. So there is a camera that's mounted in the front of the second row of seats on the roof, and that camera is to keep an eye on the passengers in the back. And it's a very simple, straightforward feature. And there's also another option where you can speak to the passengers in the car too. Then the next option is the detail setup, where you would find the vehicle option, driver assistance as we saw before, then the same set of options, drive mode, and where there is towing mode option. So the tow mode can help you decide if it's lightweight, medium, heavy. You can set it into that. Eco, where you can have coasting guides, and the smart regeneration, green zone EV, so it maximizes the EV use. Then the climate, seat, lights, door, digital keys, because it also comes with Kia Connect, so you can download the app and control all the features on this car. You can switch it on and off, remote started, heated, and all of that. And it's also got its own data packet, so you can use that too, convenience and all of that. We go back in the same set of options on the outside also, drive mode, eco, convenience and everything, doors and all. Then the navigation, then the sound, so you get Bose surround sound system on this Kia Carnival. Then the device connections, user profile, voice, screen layout. So inside that again you can have the cluster theme selection, split screen options. When you are into certain options like media or navigation, you can use the split screen option also. Then the display option, cluster and head up display. I'm going to come to the heads up display. Button option, Kia Connect, general settings, system, date and time, language, keyboard, media options, reset and all of that. And then we go back, and then the next option is the weather, valet mode, vehicle diagnostics, maintenance, HD notifications and online manual. You swipe up from the top and then you go into the quick menu options, navigation, and the passenger talk that I was mentioning about. So right now I can hear myself because my voice is being heard by all the passengers in the second row of seat, second and the third row of seats. So it utilizes all those speakers, and then those are quick options. And then on the sides to arrange all the icons and everything. But yes, that's how you use the infotainment screen on this Kia Carnival, which is again pretty straightforward, and I like it. It's simple, and yeah, you don't really have to dig in too much to just operate on a day-to-day basis. Now when we come to the charging, so there are two type C USB ports, and one of the ports can be switched from charging to the connectivity ports, or if you want just for charging, you can switch that to the type C USB ports, and also a 12-volt 180-watt power socket. There's also a wireless charger provided in the front underneath the air conditioning controls, and there are also two type C ports, one each behind the driver and the passenger side seat on the side face. There is also a 12-volt power socket along with a plug point provided in this center tunnel behind that for the second row of passengers, and also one USB port each on either side for the third row of passenger. Now on this Carnival you would also find a heads up display that shows you speed, navigation, cruise control information and everything. It's pretty bright and crisp for day-to-day use, and in order to change any information or set the height or brightness or anything, you go into the settings, heads up display option, and then you can enable or disable, and then the display control, and then the content selection. You can change all of the settings from there. Now there's also an SOS button provided out here, and the other buttons that I was mentioning to open the door are all out here. There's also the assistance button, then the sun visors are extendable, and on this Carnival you get two standard sunroof, not one, two standard sunroof, one in the front and one for the second and the third row of passenger. It's between that, and the buttons are provided individually to open that. And yeah, because this car is so big, so panoramic roof will be quite big to operate, and yeah, that's why the split option makes sense. But both the standard roofs are also quite big in that sense. Now when we come to the storage, so in the door cards I've realized you can just put about half a liter worth of bottle, not much, maybe 1 liter if you squeeze it in. That's about it, and some more storage on the side. I thought there would be slightly bigger storage on those door cards because minivans are all about storage, and you can utilize this wireless charger and some more space on the side also to put your phones and wallets. There are two flexible cup holders out here, another slot underneath the armrest to put these keys and everything, and then this big center armrest. You can put 4, 5, 6 half a liter worth of bottle on the inside. There is a slot on the passenger side also to put your phones while charging. There is also this glove box too, same goes for the passenger side also. Now there is also a drive mode button that's provided behind the gear shifter, so you just have to keep pressing to switch to 3 different driving modes, which is eco, sport and smart, and by default when you start the car it starts on the eco mode. And there are also switches provided for the heated and the cooled seats on the back side of that. So the driver and the passenger side seats are both the heated seats, and straightforward switches are provided for that too. There's also a button provided, dedicated one for the heated steering wheel. It's 2-step heated steering wheel button given for that, and there is also a button to switch on the 360-degree cameras also. And the 360-degree cameras, I really like the quality of that, as I mentioned before, and so many different views to select from, like front views, 4 different views, and then the rear again 4 different options, and then there is the 3D view, and then it's so snappy, like yeah, it's in real time. It's just very easy to just look around with that 3D view settings, and then we go back. When we come to these seats, so these seats are the leather seats. They are perforated seats because they are the heated and the cooled seats, and the seats themselves are pretty broad, which is a good thing, especially for a minivan. But what I found is the seat is slightly on the firmer side. I expected it to be slightly softer, especially if you are using it for long runs. Then yeah, these seats can do a little bit with the softer setup, but in terms of the overall support, that's pretty good. And in the back, yeah, on the sides support is pretty good. Even at the bottom the seats are long enough, so they offer good amount of support underneath my side too. The lumbar adjustment is also available, so I can set at least for the driver side, but not for the passenger side. So I get good lumbar support. Also these headrests, they are decently soft, but again, yeah, slightly on the firmer side. Now in terms of the adjustability, so the driver side seat is 8-way electronically adjustable and 4-way lumbar adjustment, whereas the passenger side seat is 6-way electronically adjustable. So the second row of the Kia Carnival is optioned with the pilot seats, and in my opinion this is one of the best places to sit in this Carnival, because there is just humongous amount of space and the seats are actually very comfortable, and these seats do a lot more than what you just see, and there is just so much of adjustments that's available. But let me begin first with the knee room. There is like almost half hand worth of knee room. The headroom is decent, although someone about 6 feet may start brushing their heads, because I'm sitting quite high up into these chairs is what I would call them, and you can even slide your legs, but not much space underneath. But there's good amount of support underneath my thigh, and the seats are so much broad, and also the backrest, again that's also quite broad, and these headrests now they are so much softer, and because these are the captain seats, so there is like handrest on both the sides which you can fold away if you don't want, or you can just put it down. And minivans, so the view from this second row is just amazing. It's just so much broader, and look at the windows, the length of it. There is also sun blinders in case you want extra bit of privacy here, and these doors are long and then they are slidable. So yeah, there is just numerous options, and which is why it's the happy place inside this Carnival for sure. Now when we come to the adjustments, so the seat themselves have like buttons on the sides, on the inside, so you can adjust the backrest, you can recline it, or yeah, put it at a steeper angle. You can even slide them forward too, so there are levers provided on the other side. Now these seats do a lot more than just going forward also. So first of all, you can take them forward to give extra bit of space for the third row of passengers, or you can put it all the way back, but there are stoppers that stop you from going all the way back. So there's another lever on the back which lets you slide the seats from side to side. That's a cool feature, but wonder why? Because you can then completely slide the seats in the back. Look at how far I am now. Like I can make someone sit here, like don't do that, but yeah, that's how much space there is. And now another best feature is the fact that I have under thigh support. My legs can feel a lot more relaxed because I have the extension of that. And now look at this and tell me if this is not the right position in this car. I mean, you should be fighting if you get this seat in the Carnival. Yeah, it's that good. There are also more buttons provided, which is the hold, so it lets you just recline automatically the seats in like an inclined position. So yeah, you have much more relaxed setup in the back. Like look at this. Oh my god, I can just, yeah, literally just lie down on these seats. Like let me just show you more. Oh my god. Wow, this is heaven. Wow, this literally feels like that, because I am in such a comfortable position. I can just sleep into these seats for hours, and longer journeys, they're going to be so much more bearable in this. Wow, amazing setup provided on this. So after that, I can just come back to my position by pressing the hold button. You see, there is like numerous options, as I said, that's possible with these seats. They are just not the regular seats that you would find. And then if you want to give space, you can come in the front and then push these seats on the side so that the passengers can walk from here and go into the back, or come out from the third row of seats. So yeah, numerous options that's possible on these seats. And then when we come to the quality of the door cards, again, soft touch material provided out here, dark beige plastic at the bottom, then these mood lights, also the lever to open the door, the buttons and everything. And there are also buttons provided for the heated and the cool seats, because the seats in the second row, yeah, they are both the heated and the cool seats. There's also one cup holder at the bottom. There is also pocket storage in both the driver and the passenger side seat. There is also two more flexible cup holders provided in the center armrest, and then the charging plugs and everything, and there's more storage at the bottom too. So ample of storage provided for the second row of passengers also. And there is also the air conditioning controls as well as the vents that are mounted on the roof itself, but the air conditioning control is on the right side on the roof. So for the passenger sitting on the left side, it's going to be a bit of a stretch because then I have to get up and then adjust it. But yeah, again, straightforward out there. Also you can switch it on and off, change the fan speed and the temperature and the flow of air. That's about it. And also, if you are the passenger sitting on the right side in the second row, and if there is no passenger in the front, then there are buttons provided on the side face of the front passenger seat, so you can adjust the seats and push them forward and get extra bit of leg room, which you can utilize when you lie down fully. So you can actually sleep inside this seat also and make it like a bed. But there is more, because there is a third row, and if you have more passengers, then they can go into the rear too. So let's just hop into the third row and check that out. Now in the third row, again, things are decently spacious. So for my knees, there is almost half a palm worth of knee room, and also the headroom again is plenty, although someone about 6 feet 1 inch will start brushing their heads against the ceiling. The second row of seats also have a bit of a curve, so that gives extra bit of knee room too. And the second row of seats are pushed slightly to the forward position so that I can have extra bit of room for the third row of passengers here. But yes, if I push them completely in the back, which I'll show you in a bit, then the situation is a bit tight. But I still wouldn't complain, because the position that I am sat in, it's pretty comfortable, and for a minivan it's a decent one, because it's not a very tall position that way that you have the space in the back to adjust these seats. But again, good positioning of these seats, because there is decent amount of support underneath my thigh, and these seats are decently soft. I wonder why the front seats feel so hard, but yeah, these seats are again quite soft. They are perforated seats, but they are not the heated or the cooled seats or anything. And there are 3 headrests also, which means like 3 passengers can sit in the back, but I don't think 3 passengers can. 3 fully grown adults is going to be a bit of a stretch, but yes, 2 adults can easily fit inside these seats. And not just that, the backrest is also reclinable again for the third row. Also, during the longer journeys, you can stretch yourself and then relax into these seats, or you can make them upright if there is like luggage in the trunk, then you can give space for that too, or you can adjust. So that's possible on both the sides too. Then there are these windows also out here, and there is also the sun blinder for them too. For the third row of passengers also, there are also like 1 cup holder and a slot and another storage provided in the third row on either side, along with a USB plug point. But overall, the position out here, I would say, is pretty comfortable, and there is plenty of room for 2 fully grown adults for sure. There are also 2 air conditioning vents on the roof itself, but if you were to ask me, honestly, the second row of seats are my top pick. So if you ever get a chance to sit into those seats, make sure to grab them. And if I push the seats, the second row, into the back position completely, and then I show you the room, and this is still after the fact that the second row seats haven't been moved to the side and then pushed all the way back, but this is the realistic room that you can expect when the second row of seats are pushed all the way back, which now seems a bit tight. So this new Kia Carnival SX Plus Hybrid is powered by a 1.6 liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine, and that is also mated to an electric motor that powers the front wheels. Now that motor is connected to a 1.49 kilowatt battery pack, and the motor and the engine work together. So in terms of the numbers, so the engine produces 177 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque, whereas the electric motor that produces 72 horsepower and 224 pound-feet of torque, whereas the combined output from the system is 242 horsepower and 270 pound-feet of torque, and this entire unit is mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now those are lots of numbers and figures, but to just make it simple, the entire setup works very well. It's just a very good combination. I know 1.6 sounds a very small figure for a car that weighs 2.2 tons, more than that, and let's not forget it can even tow 3,000 pounds, so that is towing capacity also, which is just 500 shy of the V6 engine, which is a 3.5 liter. So in terms of the power delivery, when it takes over from using the electric and the engine, then it's smooth. You do not feel the lack of power at all with this car. But when there is just engine working, which happens some of the times, then you feel the power to the car to be underpowered. And when it's just picking up based on just pure power, because the torque comes in at 0 to 1600 rpm, the peak torque, which is 242 pound-feet, which is a lot, and for that small tiny motor to just do that, that's just incredible. There's a lot of smoke because of that truck. It's become very dry climate right now. So yeah, when the engine takes over and then when it functions together, it's just a very good package overall. Yes, it lacks somewhere here and there sometimes, but I wouldn't complain, because all that gives you the efficiency also. So in terms of the efficiency, you will be surprised, because within the city it averages between 5.7 to 5.8 liters per 100 kilometers, and when you go long drives or in mixed conditions also, it's been averaging between 6.5 to 7.5 liters per 100 kilometers for a minivan. For a minivan, this is the figure, and you can easily get 900 kilometers of range from this, or even more, because when I picked this car up, it was showing me 905 kilometers. I've done about, how much have I done? Let me go into that and tell you, because that is what will decide if it's really efficient. So I've done about 250 kilometers and I'm still shown a range of 700. So if you add up, it's 950 kilometers, which is expected and very good for those engine numbers and what power unit it's got. And when it comes to the gear shifting, so the 6-speed works smooth that way, but I've found the car to be holding the gears sometimes, especially when you accelerate into the second gear especially. I don't know, for some reason it holds the gears and then decides that, oh, I'm going to change the gears. I know it's probably anticipating that I'm accelerating or I'm going to move, make an acceleration move or something. I don't know. It does that very frequently is what I've found, but otherwise, yes, it's quite smooth. Now there's also the regeneration happening in the front wheels, and that puts the power back into that 1.49 kilowatt tiny battery. And what I've realized there also is that sometimes when you brake and you start accelerating, the braking action takes a little while to disconnect and then starts acting up on accelerating. So there is a delay in there also. And also the braking action, if you leave it in that smart setting, then it automatically adjusts, but it becomes very abrupt because it is abruptly trying to brake the car, and then it becomes sensitive at lower speeds. So those are some of the things that I've noticed. And one more thing is that when you put this car into reverse, the dial also vibrates to tell you that you are getting into the reverse mode. Now when we come to the suspensions, the suspensions are slightly on the firmer side is what I've found, but it's when potholes are the deeper potholes, bigger ones, then you would feel that. But on day to day, it's pretty comfortable on smoother roads, and the roll is also quite under control. And also because these vans sit quite low down, so yeah, they don't feel that tipsy turvy that ways. And even though this is a tall car, but yet it still manages well. Now when we come to the steering is electronic, but it's decent. It's very well calibrated. There's good amount of feedback from it. It's light. If you put the car into sport mode, yes, it makes things slightly lively and stiffens up the steering slightly, but that's not the point. We are not looking for all of that. So let me make an acceleration move and show you, because it's got the grunt, it's got the power, yeah, to zip around. So it's not gonna, yeah, embarrass you with that tiny engine, and yeah, you have to explain things. So yeah, that's not gonna happen. Now when we come to the noise and the vibration, so the noise is mostly from these windows in the front and the side. There is wind whooshing, and there is some sound leakage from the front glass also, but the tire noise is kept in check. Sometimes this 1.6 liter engine can feel a bit stressed, like, yeah. And for the engine also, the peak torque comes at 4,500 rpm, so that's quite high, which is why the electric motors helps to fill that gap. But yes, some of those bumps are also quite audible on the inside too. But yeah, that's the general, the noise levels inside. But on day to day, it's fairly quiet on smooth roads. Now when we come to the brakes, so there are 4 disc brakes, and the pedal setup is a bit progressive and it's a bit spongy also, and there is a fair bit of travel to the pedal also. And as I said, when I release the brake like now and then, yeah, it takes half a second to put the power back and connect the drivetrain again, so there's a delay in terms of that. But otherwise the braking action is pretty good for a minivan this size to stop 2.2 tons of a car. Now when we come to the safety systems, there are plenty of safety systems here too. So there are 8 airbags, 2 for the front driver and the passenger, 2 side airbags again for the driver and the passenger. There are curtain airbags in the frames also, and there is also a driver side knee airbag too. Then there is also child isofix points in both the captain's seats and also in the third row on either side. There is isofix points. Then there is also tire pressure monitoring. There is also ABS. There's EBD. Then there is also the traction control, lane keep assist, lane departure warning, front and the rear collision warnings, pedestrian warnings in the front, the adaptive cruise control, the rear seat reminder if you forget anything. So those are a lot of safety systems for a minivan also, so they've advanced also in that sense. And when you come to the pricing, so the base variant starts from 40,400 Canadian dollars, whereas this top spec SX Plus Hybrid comes in at 56,465 Canadian dollars. I'm going to put the exact price on your screen. And to be honest, in terms of the pricing, this is a lot of car that you get for a decent amount of price, because let's be honest, for 56,000, it's such an efficient minivan. Like, you can travel for such a long distance, save on fuel, and have passengers very in comfort. And there is also a lot of tech now. So yeah, I just don't understand why you should not go for this one. And even if not, then you can go for the V6 3.5 liter, or there's an option with the LX variant for the hybrid also that you can opt for. That is going to come in around $46,000, and that's a bargain of a price to pay. I mean, I just cannot explain enough to tell you that this is the choice if you are not looking for an SUV or a sedan, and if you are looking for a big car for your family, this is a perfect option. And which is why you see so many minivans on the road in Canada also, and it's just the sensible choice to go for. So much of storage, so much of practicality, comfort, it's stylish, it looks good, and there are just plenty of features loaded inside this Carnival. So yeah, definitely go and check this car. In fact, buy it if you're not looking for an SUV or a sedan. As I mentioned, this is a perfect hybrid and gives you best of both worlds. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, press the subscription button, press the bell icon so that you leave all the notifications on. And if you like this video, make sure to press the thumbs up button, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye bye, take care and drive safe.